welcome to Geekism, and welcome back to Nuna Kanata. It's been about 5 years since the last episode of this series. Is it still called a series? When there's that long a gap between episodes, I'm not sure. Don't call it a comeback, I guess. Planet Zoo hasn't been on the channel for quite a while, and this was my favourite project in Planet Zoo, a Canadian wildlife reserve that is looking at most of the North American animals in the game. The last thing we did was a polar bear habitat that at the time had to be giant because of those weird, like, overly restrictive sizings for polar bear. It's all gone. Anyway, the polar bears have all gone. At some point I took them out and went to redo them and didn't. Years ago now. I honestly can't quite remember. So what makes me here again, I guess, is what we're talking about. And it's a few things. One, I've been wanting to look back at it. The announcements that Planet Zoo 2 is on the way some point this year, probably much later this year, I imagine. But that's always made me think, oh well, maybe we'll go back and have a look and see what it's doing. And then Frontier themselves, they sent me a beautiful book. It's like a zoopedia with all the different animals in the game to sort of mark the anniversary and just to sort of say thank you to creators. I was very happy to receive it. I was honoured. I haven't really covered the game in quite a few years, so it was nice that I was still sort of on their radar for that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, I have a great relationship with Frontier, playing Planet Coaster as well. So, but yeah, it was really nice to see. So, partly flicking through that book, and partly just being in a bit of a weird spot with YouTube right now. So I'm thinking, well, let's stop chasing the algorithm and just do stuff that I think is cool. And I came in and started messing around with this. I've been a member of the Planet Zoo Reddit since the game came out, way before actually, and I still look there and see some of the awesome stuff that people are making, along with Bro Nation, other zoo groups. I still watch zoo content on YouTube. ZSH Plays does some really great stuff. There's loads. Those are really great people still doing awesome Planet Zoo stuff. I just haven't been playing much myself. But on the Reddit there was a post showing off the new Prague Zoo Arctic area. I'm not sure if it's got a proper name. This beautiful vista, this large space that's sort of split into multiple areas with underwater viewing and what have you. And I honestly came into it thinking it was for polar bears, and I was like, do you know what? Come on then. I remember getting rid of the polar bear place, and I'm like, let's go back and do polar bears properly. And because of that, you're watching a seal video, because it turns out it's not just polar bears, it is seals and polar bears, and they have this sort of shared complex. Obviously they're not shared as in they're able to use the same space. I'm pretty sure the seals wouldn't win that fight, but they have this sort of shared complex, and there's this viewing area, underwater viewing area in the middle, that you can sort of stand in the middle and look left and you'll see seals, and you can look right and you'll see polar bears. And I imagine the polar bears will have their noses pressed up against the glass, trying to get to the seals. So I started building it, and I got the first half done, which is the seals. So there's a good chance that another video will be coming in a week or so of the polar bear side. We'll see. And we'll tie it in a little bit all to the rest of Nuna Kanata, which has got a sort of very Arctic vibe to it, wilderness, Canadian, Rockies, that kind of vibe. And then also it was a park where I was trying to learn a little bit about Canadian culture and about some of the indigenous cultures, and having things like an ukshuks in there and stuff as well. And that's obviously something that if we do keep working in this and keep messing around, I'll make sure I'm going in and continuing on. But honestly, this was a little bit of a slog, man. It was one of those ones I thought, I'll come back in here, it'll be like riding a bike, won't forget any of this. It's just, it's Planet games. Planet games are my bread and butter, right? They're my living to an extent, these games. There's no way I'll have forgotten how to use all of the features of this game. My goodness, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing here. Absolutely shocked me. I can't remember any of the pieces. I constantly try and scale things. I mean, scaling was the one I knew we didn't have coming back to this, and I was like, oh, that's going to be an issue. But there's so much other stuff that like I can't believe isn't in this game that I could have sworn was. The pathing is just insane. Trying to get the paths to do anything. It's just crazy. But you know what? It does still have some great features that, you know, are missing from Planet Coaster 2, or equivalents of them are missing from Planet Coaster 2. There's also quite a lot of stuff that I just don't remember from my time in the game. The game continued to be developed for years after I haven't really played it, so there's a lot of stuff in here that I just don't know about. One of them being these seats. I was all ready to build this out of concrete pieces and just have it look like this, but not real. And then they're in the game. They're actually a thing. I don't think I actually saw them operating, I guess, for want of a better word. You set them to a month. Weirdly, I assume that's just because of how fast the in-game timer goes. But yeah, I set so every March they come and give a tour. Maybe I should have changed that to be a month that was coming up, and I could have seen it. But it's nice to be able to build it, and I love the idea of guests using the stuff that we build. That's, you know, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point in saying this, but that's what I want to see from these games. I want to see guest interaction outside of the main star of the show, with that being rides in Planet Coaster 2 or animals in Planet Zoo. So yeah, it was really great to see this sort of stuff here, and sort of play around with this and really just kind of find my bearings again with the game. Like I say, I've never been great at like storing this kind of information, how to play a game. That I can only ever play 2 or 3 games at once, because that's how many key bindings I can store, I guess, in my head, especially when they're games like this where they're similar but they're not quite the same. I am constantly messing myself up. I'm doing it all the time with Tavern Keeper at the moment. I'm constantly trying to use the Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo buttons, and then after playing Tavern Keeper a few hours, I'll load up Planet Coaster and suddenly I'm trying to press G to move between movements and rotation, because that's what I've just been playing as. Yeah, I don't do well storing that sort of stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge, this, but it was a nice change of pace to come in and do something and not worry too much about the sort of I don't say not worry about the look of the thing, because I have tried to make it look as nice as I can, but just know that a lot of this can be very serviceable, especially in Kanata. You know, it's a wildlife sanctuary. It's here first and foremost to look after the animals. It generates revenue from people coming in to see it, of course, but it isn't the sort of main point of the place. You are welcome in here for educational purposes, and that drives revenue to keep the place open, but it isn't sort of here first and foremost as a tourist attraction, if that makes sense. I hope that sort of comes across. Here I find this tiny little piece of mulch. Do we not have mulch in Planet Zoo? Am I just not looking for the right thing? I found this tiny little piece that I covered everywhere, but again, the amount of times during this video I was like, I'm sure we had that in Planet Zoo. And actually it's just me misremembering from a Planet Coaster game, perhaps. I don't know. But there's lots of fun pieces finding for the first time, was playing around with them. The style of this build, I kept it pretty open. I think I want to go back in and bring that sort of Nuna Kanata-ness to it, but I was really just working off the key arts here, the concept images of the beautiful attraction that they're building in Prague, with both the sea lions and the polar bears. And yeah, the polar bears that we had, they weren't great. The glass was huge. It was way too big, and you could argue perhaps this is a little small. They're happy enough in there, the 3 or 4 seals that I put. I keep wanting to say sea lions. I know that's different. The seals are happy enough that go in here. The one thing I struggle with the most with this is that it is making the habitat itself look interesting, because there's very little you can do for these. Now, in a lot of zoos, these habitats are basically swimming pools. They're all sort of concrete structure. Here with Nuna Kanata, it's very, very important to make sure that they are natural or naturalistic habitats. So it's, we're using dirt and rock to build this water out, and it perhaps wouldn't be the cleanest. And perhaps some of the dirt that we're showing here is like synthesized. It's actually concrete painted, perhaps, or something like that. But I definitely wanted this as opposed to some of the other builds I've done in Planet Zoo, where we've they've built the sort of concrete structure that the water sits in. This, for me, felt right to be natural. But you can have very little foliage because the seals just don't want it, really. You know, in real life, you know, in the wild, seals sort of hang out on beaches and on rocks and even in like harbors and stuff if they're near humans. And that's why I've kind of gone for this sort of really quite utilitarian look to the place, really. Just sort of making it as interesting as possible, but you're still using just sort of lots of concrete and wood around the place. I know that sort of in more traditional zoos, I guess, more sort of entertainment focused zoos and places like SeaWorld and what have you, the seals are very often in quite a comedic space, often having like a show tied to them. The one we built in the park with me and John, Azuri Gardens, that's more like what I would think a seal place looks like, you know, in more of a tourist trap. So I was very careful not to do that. But honestly, even this Prague one that they're building, it has some elements of that sort of like harbour look to it. You know, I think it has like a boat sort of steered up, and I don't know, and I think it's something I spoke about a lot in Planet Zoo videos over the years, in that it's there because that's what the guests expect as opposed to what the animals need, and I'm very careful to try and not do that here, with it being more of a focus on a sort of sanctuary. Saying that, you know, you need the thumbnail, and it was just a big square of dirt, so there is a couple of little things going in just to sort of brighten it up a little. You can let me know in the comments as to whether or not you think it's suitable or not. But I had a lot of fun placing it all out. It's very much sort of just sat on its own right now, but what will happen here is this space, there's actually just a backstage area, will be a bit of a lookout over the river where the grizzly bear habitat is, and at the other end of the river there's going to be that marshland. If you remember from a long time ago, we'll be like a marshland that's going to be home to various different sort of wading birds and stuff. Have lots of fun putting those in later on as well. There's a little space in between the two, and I think a little otter habitat would work really well. I think we have a couple of different otters in the game now we can pick from, so I think that might be something we look at doing as well. I mean, whether or not this even sticks around, I don't know. I'm talking like I'm going to have one of these videos out every 2 days, and quite honestly, I'm not too sure. At the moment, I've just kind of decided that I'm going to play what I want to play when I want to play it. At the moment, that is very often Planet Coaster 2. I'm having a blast in that game. I'm also really enjoying Tavern Keeper. If you are a fan of this sort of creative style of building, please go and check that out. Honestly, you can build pretty incredible stuff in Tavern Keeper 2. It looks like a 2-point style management game, but the level of detail you can go with the decoration is unprecedented, really, in that genre of game. So I've been really enjoying myself there. But yeah, I'm just going to play what I want. Views are crap on YouTube, revenue's crap. You've heard this from me, you've heard it from everyone else. But I'm not going to moan about it anymore. You know, I'll play what I want to play. You can watch it if you want. Have fun. A little bit of light foliage here in the sort of staff area, and then trying to do something with this absolute mess of path. My goodness, next time I'm going to go back into Planet Coaster, I'm just going to take a moment to thank the game and appreciate the pathing, because it has come on so much since this. It really is so great to see Frontier just sort of like reiterate on all of these systems that they have in place. And yeah, I think what we come up with in the end is actually pretty good, considering I haven't played Planet Zoo for maybe 2 or 3 years at this point. Oh, that seems weird to say, but yeah, it genuinely could be about that long. I'm actually pretty happy with the results. It isn't perhaps the most realistic build. Like I say, I tried to build the layout based on the Prague one, so I think I've got that fairly close, but seeing the stuff that a lot of people are doing now in the game, they are spending a lot of time handcrafting sort of lots of like exhibity type things that the information guests read. There's not really much of that here yet. I'm going to have a bit of a session on the workshop, I think, and find some cool signage and stuff there if this is something that you folks think we could do more of. I will spend the time sort of putting that in and going. I was going to put them seals there, but it isn't right for the space. The statue's okay. The big pictures of the seals isn't what we need. Now, if I could shrink them down, they would be great as part of exhibit signage. But yeah, that didn't quite make it into Planet Zoo. I'm sure it'll be in Planet Zoo 2. Saying that, there is something quite freeing about knowing that every piece you open is the size it is and there's nothing you can do about it. I will say that this probably came together quicker than it might have done if I had scaling, because I would have spent a long time redoing a lot of this stuff and to shrink it down. And knowing it's a certain size and there's nothing you can do, that sort of limitation does breed creativity, I feel. So finally a couple of benches, and there it is. There's some beautiful grey seals, found a lot in Canada and surrounding waters, of course, and I think they turned out pretty good. They plod about a bit, and they like the space. And in the next one of these, I will definitely do the polar bear opposite side of it. Wow, Planet Zoo on the channel. Who'd have thought? Thank you so much for watching. I love you all to bits. Until the next one, be good.